Hello, welcome to the THC Show. I'm your host, Neil Magnuson. This is the show about truth, hope, and change and how that affects the THC. THC is a very controversial thing in our world, has been for 100 years or more. And we like to talk about that here because we want to find the truth about these things, and we're really hoping that we can affect change by doing so. On the show today, we'll have 8 out of 10 Glenn from CannaMatch.ca. We'll do an update of the Healing Wave CSP situation. And we'll talk a little bit about what else is going on in the world of cannabis. Legalization. That's what we've been asking for a long time. That was our big fight. For all the years I've been involved, it was legalize, let's legalize it. We came up with a catchphrase for legalization called legalize and regulate. Because that's what we thought we needed, was legalization with some simple, reasonable regulations to bring us into the mainstream marketplace like all of the other products that are available here. But legalization didn't mean that. Legalization did not mean that there would be no more penalties for pot and the price of cannabis would come down to what would be reasonable for farmers to expect in bringing something to market. None of that has happened. The unions have taken over. In British Columbia here, the BCGEU has the task of disseminating cannabis to the cannabis stores, the legal cannabis stores, and they're on strike. So even though cannabis was deemed an essential service back during the pandemic, apparently it's not such an essential service anymore because stores are closing, they're laying off staff, they're running short of the products that they sell, and the BCGEU is not delivering any more to them. Ludicrous, really. In fact, I heard a store owner talking about it on the news the other night, saying that her big concern was that people were going to be driven back to the black market, and that what they really needed was to have a constant safe supply. Like as if there's ever been a problem with the safety of the cannabis in the gray market. I don't like calling it a black market. I think that name gets used way too much in negative connotations, and I know many people don't like that. But the gray cannabis market is thriving and doing well and has never had a problem with bad cannabis. There's never been, the government announcing that watch out for the brown weed or watch out for this strain or that strain because, it's really causing mayhem in society. There's been never anything like that at all. The safety of the cannabis supply on the gray market is not why they legalized. They legalized because we lobbied for it so well that they knew they really had no choice. The Liberal government decided to run on a platform of legalizing cannabis. That is unheard of in all of my life, I'll tell you. Before that, there was no way that was ever going to happen, but it did. Because of the efforts of the activists, primarily in Vancouver, but right across Canada, that showed the Liberal government that they had a chance of winning if they would say that they were going to legalize cannabis for everyone. And that's what Trudeau did. And not only did they win, they won a majority. The largest swing ever in Canadian political history. But legalization does not include everybody. In fact, it is an absolute farce. We have a government that now, after almost 100 years of criminalizing people harshly for possession, distribution, or production of cannabis, is now in the business. And it's a big business. Huge greenhouses, big contracts, hundreds and thousands of legal stores across Canada. Anybody can walk in there as long as, well, sometimes you have to have ID. Mostly you have to have money, though. If you got enough money, then you can purchase what they have. But the prices are not down to what it would be reasonable to expect farmers to bring it to market at. The prices are, in fact, even higher than they were during out-and-out prohibition. This is still prohibition. There's prohibition on anybody that wants to grow for the marketplace. There's prohibitions on anybody who wants to sell into the marketplace. You have to get a cartel license, or you don't get to do that without serious criminal sanctions. Serious criminal sanctions. Look at Ted Smith, for example, given a $6.5 million fine for not being part of the cartel and continuing to provide cannabis to people. Sick people. People that need reasonable low barrier access. For that, he gets a $6.5 million fine. It couldn't possibly be more corrupt. And talk about ludicrous. Anybody can go and get high legally from a government store if they want to. You just want to go out on a Friday night and, mutually insert suppositories or whatever it is that you want to get from the government store and have some fun with it? Go for it. The government says it's okay. No criminal charges. You can have fun with cannabis. You can get high. But if you need it, if you're a sick person, and some sick people, cannabis is the only thing that really works for them. For most sick people, cannabis is the one that's going to have the least amount of side effects. In fact, no real side effects to worry about other than maybe a little hungry, maybe a little sleepy, depending on the strain you're using. Might have a hard time getting the smile off your face sometimes, because that's kind of what cannabis can do for you. But if you need it, if you're a sick person, if you need it on a daily basis and you're not independently wealthy, then no, legalization is not for you. The government doesn't care about you. The government only cares about the people that just want to get high. Isn't that insane? It's the opposite to what the cannabis community did. We've been fighting for legalization for a very long time, and we put the sick people first. We put them ahead of everybody else because that's where they belong. The people that need it are the ones that should have no trouble getting it. But they're the ones who are left completely out of this so-called legalization. What a farce. What a farce. So we'll see how that all shakes down in the future. We'll see what happens now that we have a strike going on in BC and there's all these retailers that are, crying about not being able to get what they need, and they're losing customers to the gray marketplace, and they're having to lay off staff and all the rest of it. They want a different system. They're now saying this isn't working. Everything coming from one source that can go on strike. How does that work for a retailer? They want to be able to go directly to the producers and get it. And it should be even easier than that. It should be similar to what it was before this farce of a legalization, where stores can have easy access to the marketplace, easy access to licenses to be able to run your store. And then as a store owner, you entertain the people that have the products. People that have products can bring them to you, show you what they have, tell you what their price points are. And as an operator of a retail business, you get to decide on whether or not that's a good product, whether or not you want to take it at the price that they're offering it to you for. Of course, as a responsible business owner, you wouldn't want to be buying crap off of anybody. And that's the way it was with dispensaries back in the day before this farce of legalization. Growers would bring their products to the dispensaries. The dispensaries would check them out. If they liked the product, if they thought it was going to be a good thing to sell, then they could do business. Where is there any need for government interference in any of that? Where are any statistics that would justify these outrageous regulations that are put on these things? There is none. There is none. There's 1,500 legal cannabis stores in Ontario. The different provinces are announcing different amounts of profit or cannabis sales. I don't think they're talking too much about profits, but they are talking about how much cannabis sales they're having. And it's quite substantial. So, anyway, we can't allow this to become the model that is legalization. That would be completely unacceptable. This is not what we've been fighting for. It's great that there's tens of thousands of less Canadians that are receiving criminal records for simple possession of cannabis. That's great. That's fine. But to be actively using tax dollars to restrict others who aren't part of the cartel, that don't have those coveted licenses, to keep them out of the marketplace using tax dollars, police resources, the criminal law, and outrageous fines is an absolute affront to freedom and to what's best for Canadian citizens. These public servants are so far out of control that they're running an obvious protection racket for the monopoly that they're obviously running, and they're getting away with it. This is a criminal misuse of public resources to prop up an artificially high price at government cannabis stores that prevents the people that really need it from getting it, and are using incredible powers to try to prevent such access. Our world is upside down. Here in Vancouver, we've been over a half a decade running an illegal program of simply providing access to cannabis, especially in its high dose forms, to answer a public health emergency that's been going on for 7 years. It's almost 6 years ago now that because of that public health emergency that was ongoing, we started the Cannabis Substitution Program. There was no licenses to apply for. Cannabis was illegal at that time. But this was the right thing to do, and I knew it. I had lots of evidence to back that up, and I had lots of personal experience to back that up, and I know dozens, if not hundreds, of people that have successfully transitioned off of those dangerous hard drugs onto cannabis. So because of that, we started the program. Didn't just start the program by deciding to stand on the sidewalk and hand it out. Not at all. Not at all. Cannabis was illegal back then. I had personal knowledge that it could answer the public health emergency that was going on. And I felt it was very important that we make that an easy, available option to people. But I didn't just start handing it out. I first went to VANDU, the Vancouver Area Network of Drug Users funded by Coastal Health, that is the main advocacy group for the oppression caused by drug prohibition. And they gave me unanimous approval to do the program and to go to City Council with their support to try to get the council on board. And I did that. Presented the whole idea to council. I had my 5 minutes at the microphone. And if no counselor asks you a question about what you just said to them, then you go and sit down and the next person gets up and gives their ideas. And that's what happened. I got my 5 minutes. I told them all about it, or at least some of it. Plenty of opportunity for questions to be asked. In fact, plenty of need for some questions to be asked. That's exactly how I structured that. 4:19, you got 1 minute. And nobody asked me a question, so down I sat. Well, from there I went to the Vancouver Police Board with Rob Laurie, the lawyer. Presented the idea to them. Told them all about it. Got no resistance. Got some handshakes. Got some thank yous. Got a personal email from a deputy chief. Still didn't just start the program after that. Waited for another couple months. Had the City of Vancouver Council lobbied during that time by a professional lobbyist. Still nothing. Also during those 2 months, I gathered up donations from Weeds, Glass and Gifts, Medicinal Cannabis Dispensary, a number of other different places around here that supported what we were talking about doing. And after 2 months, we started the program. But we've tried to do everything right from the start. Every step of the way. We've been very open, didn't try to deceive in any way. Big signs out, talking to all the stakeholders as far as government is concerned, all through all of this. When it became apparent that we needed licenses and you could apply for them, we did. Almost 2 years ago now. And still we wait. Anyway, that's legalization in Canada. It's a farce. Don't do it in your country. Don't accept it wherever you are, because this is not going to satisfy the needs of the people that really could use this amazing plant that has so many health benefits. In any case, 420 is here. Mr. Wells is here, as always, for 420. It's been going on for years now. This is into our fourth year.
Yes, Mr. Magnuson.
This is our fourth year of having the CSP show, or pardon me, the THC show. It could be called the CSP show.
It could be.
It could be.
It could be. But
it's been the theme right from the start.
And
truth, hope, and change.
That
came to me when we were talking about doing the show. What we needed was a name, and it sort of just came to me. I can't say THC. I was thinking THC. What could that mean other than THC? And it was instant. It was like truth, hope, and change. Well, that works. So that became the show. But it really could be the CSP show.
I was thinking truth, health, and cannabis.
Yeah, there's other options for sure.
Because it's a healthy plant, it's cannabis, right?
Yeah.
And you're speaking the truth of it, right? So
you're right. There was other options for sure, but I settled on truth, hope, and change. Hope is so important.
Yes.
Hope is so important.
It is. Without hope,
we wouldn't have fought for legalization.
Yeah.
If there was no hope that we were going to get legalization, we would not have gone to the efforts that we went to.
Yeah.
But I had hope, and now here too, what we're offering is hope. With the Cannabis Substitution Program for these people in this neighborhood who are stuck on their drugs because they can't get through withdrawal, we offer some hope.
Yeah.
It is so important. It's one of the most important things in life.
260 people you offer hope, right?
Yeah, well, 260 people we've got as members of our program. And that's been going on for a long time. We made members out of all those people that lined up for 3.5 years. We made members of them once we got the store here, and we capped it at 250 to start with, because that was about as much as we figured we could maintain. We've added another, I think, 18 people since then. Very special cases of people that we've met that we felt
could really
needed it. So we added them.
And how are they doing?
They're all doing fabulous. We've actually had... We had no problems with the program. I mean, everybody that's in it that gets their stuff, they're happy to get their stuff. They're very thankful for it all the time. We've never had anybody come and say anything negative about
you're getting back their lives. Of course, they're going to be thankful, right? And they didn't have to go to a rehab center and have somebody fill you with a whole bunch of stuff and have to do some board with your dreams on it. They cut out pictures from a magazine and all kinds of stuff, man. I've been there.
That's true.
Right? And
with a little bit of guidance and the high-dose edibles, people can get off those other drugs.
Yep.
And so it's not a faint hope, it's a real hope.
It's a real hope.
It's a real hope, and we've proved
every day.
Yeah, we prove it every day. We're open 7 days a week, 8 hours a day. We've been that for 2 years, and it'll be 3 months on the 9th of September coming up here.
And as a segue, you're going to be filling up with lots of hope this weekend in Hope, aren't you? You'll be just sucking in all that hope to bring it here to the downtown east side.
Yeah. One of our donators to the program early on and randomly throughout the course of our history of doing the program has been Asia Moon. And Asia Moon is the force behind the Mom Cups. And there was a hiatus, of course, because of the pandemic. She did 2 Mom Cups in a row, and they were epic.
Yep.
They were
I was at the last one.
And
that art gallery in Vancouver I do believe, and she had the tent outside for us to smoke and everything.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No. The first one was on Main Street, right up by 10th or 11th on Main Street. There's a building there that she rented, and that's where we did the first one.
That's the first one, and then
the second one was in Surrey, at an East Indian banquet hall.
Yes, that's the one I remember. Yes, yes, that's the one I remember. Okay,
yeah.
And then the first one was at the art gallery, the art place. So something
place.
Yeah, an art.
Oh,
place.
that's it. You're not talking about the art gallery.
No. There was an art place, and then they rented out the space so that we could do
on Main Street.
Yes,
close to 10th.
So I do remember the two. So
I just thought you were saying they were at the. I thought you were saying they were at the art gallery with the tent, and I'm like, no.
Yeah. But it was an art gallery at one time, but not the actual.
And they did put a tent up out back for people and all that kind of stuff. So the Mom Cup is happening this weekend coming up, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yep.
There's camping. It's in Hope. Talk about hope, you know.
Yep, on Othello Road.
We have some serious hope for the Mum Cup there.
You can just take
it should be a lot of fun.
Take the Othello Road exit, and there should be some posters and stuff directing you that way.
Yeah.
It'll say "Mom says this" or "Go this way for Mom" or whatever. There's a whole bunch of mom sayings.
If there's a bunch of people out there trying to find their real mom, they might just show up there because they're following the signs. Hey, my mom!
I was like thinking outside of the box. Nobody's going to crash a party that says "Mom." Right?
Unless they're looking for their mom.
Yeah.
So it should be a blast. There's going to be a battle of the bands competition. There's going to be glass blowing displays. Leash Glass is there. I think she's also involved with the cups this year like she was before. There's going to be tons of stuff. There's going to be some adult entertainment.
Yes, there is.
One night for the girls, one night for the boys.
I do believe Friday is the guys and Saturday is the girls. Like,
is that what it is?
They're painting the guys on Friday, painting girls on Saturday. I do believe that's what it is.
So which one of those is for the guys then? If they're painting,
it's for anybody. This is 2022, Mr. Magnuson. It's for anybody. There's no. You can go to the guys if you want, or you can go to the girls. We don't.
But when they say it's the guys, that's the one that's going to be for the guys. That's going to have girls there doing things.
No. So Friday night will be the men being painted and then making prints like the guy model that they have. On Saturday, it will be the female model being painted and making prints.
I get to do finger painting on the.
I don't know. Well, I know Asia's doing the Saturday one with the thing. It's on your piece of paper right there. So that I sent you, that I brought you today. So
none of those are in my wheelhouse, which is good.
But if you don't want that, not your wheelhouse, there's poker. So there's either that, the poker will be in a different area.
Did I ever tell you about gambling with me?
I don't gamble. Well, I gamble sometimes when I'm smoking a joint down the highway that someone's going to smell and call a cop.
I take risks. Yeah. I take risks lots. But my grandfather had a bad habit of gambling that cost him, all of his earthly possessions at one point.
Gambling usually does.
Before I came along, before my dad was born. My grandpa had a real problem with it, and he lost everything but my grandmother.
Wow.
And my grandmother stayed with him. He stopped gambling. He eventually had a Esso gas station that he ran here at the First in Victoria. Mm-hmm. And then he retired.
Oh.
And when he retired, he went back to gambling.
Oh, no.
Nobody knew.
Oh, wow.
Nobody knew.
Wow.
And one night he was down in Chinatown gambling, and he had quite a bit of money with him.
Wow.
And I guess people or somebody was seeing the billfold that he had. So when he was done that day and went out to his car, somebody whacked him on the back of the head with a big rock.
Oh, wow.
Grandpa took his wallet.
Yeah.
The money wasn't in the wallet.
Oh.
He kept his money in his front pocket, so he never lost that.
Oh, wow.
But they did take his wallet, but he had a big felt hat on, like people wore back in those days, which probably saved his life. He was hit repeatedly in the head while he grabbed the guy by the balls.
Oh, yeah.
And Grandpa says, that man will never have children. He had about 150 stitches in his head from all of that. Yeah. Like I say, he didn't lose his money, but he lost his wallet. And he died several months later, maybe to do with that, maybe not, I don't know, but he had a heart attack. He was helping a neighbor to get into her house by pulling the ladder out of his garage and then going up the ladder, getting in through the window, and then letting her in. And then he took the ladder back, and he didn't quite make it to the garage. He put the ladder down beside the car, and he just leaned up against the car to rest and passed away.
Wow. Wow.
So for me as a young boy, about 12 years old, I heard all the stories about Grandpa gambling.
Yeah.
We knew what happened to him, why he was in the hospital with all those stitches in his head. And so it really impacted on me that I shouldn't gamble.
Yeah.
That's what I got out of that, was that gambling was bad. Mm-hmm. And so I just came to a conclusion in my young life that I would only bet on things that I was 100% sure I was right about. So that eliminates any sports that haven't happened yet. I don't bet on hockey games or football games or poker games. And so I can't say I've never gambled.
Yeah.
Because there was twice in my life.
Wow.
One was on my honeymoon when my wife and I got back from driving down the coast into Mexico, actually, where I got arrested.
I think you told me that story, yeah.
And then when we came back, we stopped at Reno and went into the casinos and put some money into the machines and heard those bells and whistles and the coins coming down a couple of times. Spent it all again until we had nothing left. Yeah. Went back to the hotel room. Searched our luggage, got everything we could find.
Oh, shit.
Went back there. I mean, I definitely caught that fever. Yeah. You know, about it was all like, man.
Sounds like
you know, we got to get those bells and whistles going off again. And so we went back and we wasted all of that money.
Oh, wow.
And had like enough for one little slot pull on the way out. Did that. And won about $50.
There you go.
You know, back in the day, it was quite a bit of money.
Good money, yeah.
And we went to the gift shop. And we spent that on the relatives that were expecting us to have something for them when we got back.
So you looked good, right?
And that was that for that. And I pretty much learned my lesson about gambling.
Yeah.
That's true. The house is going to take your money if you stay there long enough. You know, unless you walk away with what you've won at some point, and if you keep staying there and putting it down, you're going to end up with nothing.
Yeah.
So now we fast forward a number of years. You know, that marriage ends. I go 11 years without being married. I hook up with Roxanne. Roxanne and I are together for several years, maybe a decade or more. And we're coming back from one of our trips probably to Saskatchewan and stopped in Kamloops because I wanted to watch the BC Lions play.
Yep. And
I had learned on the Freedom Tours that the casinos were a great place to watch sports. They have big screens in there.
Yeah.
The food is cheap.
Yep.
You know, it's no cover. And I'd done that on the Freedom Tour many times across Canada. I'd stopped in at casinos and done that, but I'd never put a coin in a machine or never bet on anything. In fact, I spent my time looking at these people that, you know, some of them wearing diapers. A lot of them pissed right off.
Oh, yeah, because they don't have to go to the washroom if they're wearing
They can't give up that machine.
Wow.
Because that machine that they've been sitting at all day plunking money in, they think it's primed now. It's ready to pay out. So they don't want to walk away until they've got that.
Yeah.
Which they run out of money usually before that happens.
Wow.
But that's their mentality about it, you know.
Yeah, that's gambling.
A lot of people spending their inheritance, a lot of old ladies, you know, husbands have died and now they spend their time at the casinos trying to win more or whatever. But I watched all these things and went, gambling's not a good thing. I'm happy I don't do that.
Yeah, me too.
So what happened with Roxanne and I is we were coming back and we go to this casino in Kamloops to watch the football game and have something to eat. Mm-hmm. And in the restaurant there, they had a deal where, let's see if I can get this straight. If you ordered the best meal, the prime rib meal, they would give you the equivalent of that cost in chips to play in the casino with.
Yeah.
So that's what we did.
And
I let Roxanne do all the pulling of the arm there.
Yeah. Nothing.
Never won a thing.
Wow.
We plunked whatever all that money was in, like, till it was gone.
Oh, wow.
And then it was gone. And then we drove away and I went, yep, gambling's not a good thing to do.
Next time you gotta pull the arm.
There will not be a next time. There's never going to be a next time. I don't like just throwing money down the toilet.
No, well. I
don't like people getting rich
tickets
off it, you know?
I buy Grand for Life tickets, but they're only $4, so that's...
Okay, so I have in the past bought a few lottery tickets when the prize gets way up there.
Is that a risk or gambling?
With no intention of winning, with only a few dollars that doesn't hurt me at all, just for the heck of it. But I must say, I'm aware of the odds.
Yeah.
And the lotteries are the worst odds of all.
Yeah.
And when the prize gets way up there, it gets way worse because then a whole bunch of people like me go and also buy tickets. So now your odds of winning goes way down. And, you know, so anyway, that's my advice to you. You know, if you got money to lose, money to burn, go ahead and gamble. If you think you're going to get rich gambling and you don't really have enough for yourself, don't do it.
And come to Mom Cup. Neil's going to be speaking. Mike Rita's going to be there Saturday night.
Mike Rita's going to be doing comedy there.
Redbeard coming.
Redbeard Glass will be there. I hope Gibson Glass will be there too because I want some more of those mustache takers.
He might be there in person.
Speaking of mustache tokers,
yes.
This is the 420 session. Did you
Yes.
smoke anything? Cause
I just did.
Well, you need to smoke more.
Well, I need to smoke more?
Because
okay,
you got to smoke for me.
Okay, I got to smoke for you,
because I'm not smoking
all right,
today.
All right.
Full disclosure,
Yeah.
I've been trying to feel better. I've
Well,
eliminated sugar and chocolate out of my
I did bring
diet.
my little vape pen, so...
I'm eating smoothies every single day for 5 months at least now, I think. I've now got something called Greens Plus that I purchased a week ago. That's really supposed to be very, very good, and I've been having it every day. I've had 6 times in a row now. I've had the Greens Plus, and yet today I wake up with a headache, and I don't understand why. There is a lot of stress going on for us.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the final week of being able to submit things to the lawyer, who will then submit it to Health Canada, coming up here for us to do with our application. We've got the court date coming up, another appearance on September 7th.
Yep.
Although that's not stressing me out that much.
And Ted Smith is going to have a march.
I'm not too worried about the court situation. And we should really update people, because I know there's always new people watching the show. And when I just throw out information like that, there's really nothing to tell a person who's just tuned in for the first time what that's all about.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do that. Cannabis Substitution Program. Started 5.5 years ago. After I mentioned on the show, at the top of the show, I did a lot of preliminary work with the City Council, with the Vancouver Police Board, with the potential donators before we actually started. But we started it over 5.5 years ago, and it's resulted in us dispensing 12 or 13 million milligrams of high-dose edibles during that time into the downtown east side here. We've got 268 members of the program that get their 420 milligrams of high-dose edibles of their choosing
every 4 days.
Free every 4 days. We've got a collaboration going on with the Healing Wave Dispensary, because we need to have a collaboration that allows us to raise some money to support the CSP and to support the infrastructure of what we're doing here, this building, the RV, the paying of people to operate the show here. Not this show, but this show.
Yeah.
And so we've been doing this for all this time, and quite successfully. 3.5 years of those 5.5 years was spent on the sidewalk twice a week out in front of Vandu, with hundreds of people lining up to get the care packs. The last 2 years and almost 3 months has been here. In good faith, we moved in here because the City of Vancouver said they passed a motion that they would support low barrier access. We met with them to determine what that meant, had an understanding that if we got a storefront and started doing what we were doing from a storefront, they would assess that. If we were meeting the needs of the neighborhood, they would license us. That turned out not to be true. They decided that they had to follow Health Canada's lead on whether or not to give us a license, and so we applied to Health Canada, and we are still waiting for that. We're under an intent to deny order at this point that we can respond to and see what that does. But that's what's been going on here. Now, in the meantime, because we couldn't get the license to stay in the store, we were here for 5.5 months before we had to get out because they wouldn't give us a license to be here and the landlord was threatened. Bought an RV, been operating out of the RV for almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years coming up this November 1st. And, that's not been great. We've gone through 2 pretty cold winters. We've gone through 2 extremely hot summers. The one last year with the heat dome was hotter than anywhere else in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
God we didn't have that
many
this year.
people died.
Yeah.
It was really hot this year still, but it wasn't the heat dome.
Yeah.
And it's hot right now today out there.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be 32 degrees tomorrow out there.
But then the weekend it's supposed to look good.
We're stuck in this little RV, trying to run this large program, trying to meet the needs of the neighborhood just from the side window, and it's very difficult to do. It's not what would happen if we were in the store when we could advertise a little bit. We could have markings on the store. People would know about us, and a lot of more people would come here and get the help that they so desperately need. So we're in the RV. 2 weeks into the RV, we got all of our stuff stolen by the VPD because the anti-vending unit came across us by fluke and then saw our signs and saw the cannabis and went, no, you can't have this. And they took all our cannabis away. They didn't charge us with anything like you would think. If it's a criminal offense and that should be because people are being harmed in the process of what we're doing, that, they would have charged us or something, or would have stopped us. But no, we were back in 1 hour from that raid, restocked and reopened, and never another interference from the VPD for well over a year and a half. 7 days a week, or 6 days a week for most of that time, 7 days a week for the last several months. And then all of a sudden in May, we get raided. The VPD, based on some reports by some of their officers that they thought there might be cannabis sales going on from an RV on Cordova, that caused the VPD upper brass to decide they should run an investigation and find out. What a waste of taxpayers' dollars, 6 months of surveillance and undercover purchases and all the rest of that, to determine what we were openly doing without any attempt to hide it or deceive in any way, shape, or form. It does not take a 6-month investigation and all that money paid to those officers to determine that we were providing options for people in this neighborhood of cannabis. But that's what they did. And now we've had 2 appearances in court where nothing gets to be said. I said something the first time to the judge, even though I wasn't supposed to. It was supposed to be just him talking to the TV sets that has the lawyers on it. But, they weren't saying anything that was needing to be said, in my opinion. So at the end of that, where they've just decided to set another date to come back and waste some more taxpayers' money on court costs and all the rest of it, I piped up and said, "Your Honor, can I say something?" And he said, "You should talk to your lawyer, young man." He didn't say young man.
No.
And I said, "Well, but Your Honor, this is a criminal misuse of public funds with this whole proceeding. And I have letters here from City Council and from Professor Walsh, and you should have a look at them." He said, "I think you should talk to your lawyer." So down the hall we went. I walked down to the prosecutor's office. I asked to talk to a prosecutor. I did. They were more than happy to take copies of my letters. They were, receptive to what I had to say to them about why this whole thing should not be going before the courts. It's not in the public's interest to do that. And they were going to call me, but they never did. And so now here a month later, back in court, just this last Wednesday here since the last show.
I was there.
You were there, so you know what happened.
Yeah, I do.
Another time in court, not able to speak to the judge. Zoom meeting with the lawyers on a TV screen.
Yeah.
Another date set, more money wasted. And I didn't bother to interrupt and say something again this time. We just went straight down to the prosecutor's office again.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones who can stop this. And it was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Because, the otherwise locked door to that area that is the prosecutor's area offices opened up just before we got there. It has a few second delay before it automatically closes and locks. I didn't know any of that. All I saw was an open door and the window that's right there by the door that should give public access was closed up. The screen was down. There was no one to talk to. So I walked right in there.
So did everybody
else. So we had 8 or 10 people, in the prosecutor's main office area there. I did notice on my way past that little office that has the window with the screen that there was somebody in there talking on the phone.
The panic button.
So pretty soon she comes running out there and says, "Hey, who are you people and why are you here? You can't be here." And I told her, I said, "The door was open and we'd like to talk to a prosecutor." And she says, but you can't come in here like that. And so we very politely and quickly left her office. We didn't make a fuss. We could have decided to stay there and occupy the place, just sit down on the ground and say, "Get us a prosecutor. We're going to stay here till we get some satisfaction." But I didn't do that.
No.
We went back outside the door. She said she would bring us somebody, and she did, but it took about 25 very uncomfortable minutes of standing out there with us thinking, well, maybe they're not going to send anybody out here, and this is maybe a waste of time. But we waited, and eventually someone did come out, said with a prosecutor, and was very informative.
She was a very nice lady.
She was nice, and she was informative, very receptive, as I told her the whole thing there. And she went on at length about how the prosecutor's job is to make sure that they don't waste taxpayers' dollars, that they don't come into court with something that's not within the public's interest to do that. And I said, well, if you investigate us and what we've been doing for 5.5 years here, you will definitely determine that this is not in the public's interest to bring us into court. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
We have another court.
But she only looks at that through legal eyes, and if she sees anything that looks illegal to her, her brain just says, "Oh, that's it, it's clear right there. It's illegal."
Yeah.
Right? It's illegal. It's
We're selling cannabis here. I'm going to admit it on the show. I've been admitting it for a long time. We're proud of what we're doing here, and I told her the same thing. We're very proud of what we're doing. We are not criminals. We're not bad actors. We're not trying to get rich. We're trying to meet the needs of this neighborhood during a public health crisis, and that's been our motivation from the start, with nothing else involved other than to try to continue.
Yeah, you're not driving around in a limousine. You're not living in a mansion or anything. You're here. The money is to support the program.
We've structured our pricing so that it supports what we're doing here and allows us to keep our prices as low as we can for the neighborhood. This is a poor neighborhood. These are poor people. They struggle mightily. Mm-hmm. I don't want anybody stealing and robbing to be able to purchase that cannabis as an option here.
Yeah. And if you don't got money?
We have grams at $1 a gram. Yeah. That's our biggest seller. It does range up to $6 a gram because we want to have the best cannabis that can be offered for people at the best prices that we can.
15 or 20.
They are, for the cannabis that we're having available here at the high end is very similar to what they're selling for $15 and $20 in the other stores.
A gram.
For 1 gram.
For 1 gram in the stores, and you can do it for 6.
We do it for 6 for the really good stuff, and that's coming from a grower, one in particular, who is so meticulous and cares so much about what he does and spares no expense in his production of cannabis. He's the one who's taken me to task early on in my shows about how a farmer could bring cannabis to market very cheaply, similar to other fruits and vegetables.
That's what they're trying to do right now.
But that's not what he's trying to do, and that's not what a lot of growers are doing, and that's not what a lot of people want. They don't really want to go and buy uncured, untrimmed cannabis, still on the stalk, and buy a bundle of stalks for $20 a pound and do their own trimming and curing. Some people, money's not an option. They want to walk into a high-end, beautiful store, see all kinds of connoisseur cannabis grown by the best growers, and they're willing to pay that price for it, and that's fine with me. That doesn't hurt me in any way, shape, or form, but it sure hurts me and other people when that industry that's involved in that is putting pressure on the government to not allow low barrier access, to not allow for cheaper cannabis to come into the marketplace. That is not okay. That's when we know legalization is not working for the very people that need it the most, and that's why we're doing what we're doing the way that we're doing it here. But there's something that I need to mention. I've talked about it before on the show because it is so important. There's another good reason for making cannabis available for dollars, besides the fact that we need some of those dollars to support the program and keep it going and to pay for the infrastructure around it. And it's a more important reason than that. There's a huge population in Canada that will not join a program to get free edibles, that will not identify themselves as hard drug users, that are desperate to kick that habit and don't know how to get through that extremely torturous withdrawal that happens several hours after your last dose that you took. If you're not re-upping what you just took of those hard drugs, the pain is intense. And it's very, very difficult to people to get through that without going and buying more of those hard drugs to stop the pain. That's the big barrier. That's why I say it's addictive. That's what we can solve with high-dose edibles for people that do it right. So for all those people that won't be part of a program, that will not be doing anything to identify themselves, they need discreet, low-barrier access where they can purchase without scrutiny high-dose cannabis, edibles and concentrates, and just go and do what they need to do to get off those drugs. The issue that we have is that they need to be informed properly about how to do that. That eating too much of those edibles is not comfortable, it's very not fun at all, and a lot of people say, that doesn't work, I don't ever want to do that again. It scares people
away. So we
away.
have the saying, go low and go slow.
Yeah, start low, go slow. We tell that to everybody. We ask everybody we don't recognize if they're asking for high-dose edibles, if they've had experience with them before, and we try to guide them with the right information, and that's the role of government. The role of government is not to deny access. The role of government is to facilitate access with proper regulations, which is almost always just information. Sometimes you need to have restricted access for ages. Sometimes you need to restrict advertising depending on what it is. Sometimes you need to restrict potency, time of sale, those sorts of things for some products. Cannabis edibles, not so much, except that there needs to be proper education for people. So if the government was doing its job and playing its proper role as public servants, they would allow and encourage and support low barrier access stores to cannabis, and they would do their best to ensure that the proper information was being dispensed with those high dose edibles so that people can have a positive experience and a great outcome and get off those hard drugs. That's what the government should be doing. But instead, the government has decided that nobody without a doctor's support should even have access to high dose cannabis edibles. That's absolutely insane. That's the opposite of low barrier. We're saying to the government, to address the opioid crisis and save lives, you need to make cannabis edibles as easily accessible as possible. Mm-hmm. Demanding a healthcare professional be involved in that decision is the opposite of low barrier.
Yeah.
So
how are these people
this is why it's a deal breaker for me. This is why we're at a loggerheads with Health Canada. Although they haven't, I've never told them that because they don't talk to me about any of this. They've never come and talked to me. They've never asked me any questions. They've never made any suggestions about how we could do whatever it would take to get them on board with us. They've simply sat there for almost 2 years with our application. They've responded to our added information with the statement, "Don't worry, Mr. Magnuson. We're working diligently on your file every day. My whole team," says Mr. Benoit Seguin of the Special Licensing and Exemptions Division of Health Canada. Feel free to use that information to send him an email or phone him, although you have a hard time getting a hold of him.
Yeah, you can.
Or send an email or even just an actual letter. But Mr. Benoit Seguin from the Special Licensing and Exemption Division of Health Canada seems to be the person that holds the key. He is the gatekeeper that is so far not going to allow the sick people, the people that are in trouble and can't identify themselves, to have easy access to cannabis. Write him a letter, because low barrier access will save the lives of your loved ones and all of our family members across Canada that are struggling with this situation caused by government policy and the overprescribing of opioids by doctors. They've caused this problem, and they're the ones who really should have a hand in solving it. And we're telling them, we've demonstrated for over half a decade what one of the best solution is. Not for everybody, because you can't ever have anything that works for everybody, but it works for a lot of people. It works for a whole big percentage of those people. They need to have easy access to cannabis.
A friend Gather says that they pay $320 for 10 grams of medical cannabis. The governments are greedy there. In New Zealand.
In New Zealand, eh?
$32 a gram. Wow, eh?
Someone was here the other day. They said they bought 3 joints from the government stores, $72. $72 for 3 joints.
Whoa.
Over $20 a joint.
Why? Were they bought in the bag or something? Or probably, I don't know. Jeez. Wow.
I don't know.
Wow.
I'm told that the government stores are getting better.
Yes, I've heard that too.
That there's $100 ounces out there in the government stores that aren't too bad.
Yeah, because they're not getting rid of their products.
So $100 an ounce, that's $1,600 a pound.
Yeah.
Is that a good price for a plant that grows easily, will grow wild, can be cultivated to produce so much cannabis? Mm-hmm. I mean, really?
How old is that stuff that they're selling it for $100 too? Though you want to know, because if it's so expensive for 3 joints, it makes your brain wonder, what are they selling for $100? Why is it so fucking cheap, right? So I don't know. I don't know if you want to go there.
I really don't.
If you're smoking $100 ounce from a government store, we'd like to know.
Sure.
Yeah.
Tell us.
Yeah, tell us. Tell
the world.
If it was dry, if it was fresh.
If it's super great cannabis for $100 an ounce, you're still paying way too much.
When you broke open the bud, did it smell, or was it really dry? And like, I'd like to know.
We'd like to know. We always want to know, because we'd like to report these things.
Yeah.
What else was
Inquiring minds want to know, right?
Yes, inquiring minds want to know. Because it's important to us.
It is.
Because we've taken it upon ourselves to try to find the truth.
Yeah.
Find reasons
Provide
for
some hope.
And make those changes.
Make a change. There we go, eh?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to do.
That's great.
So there's other things now. So we talked about the Mom Cup.
Now you got Prairie.
There's camping.
Oh yes.
I think the judges' kits are $100, and then another $50 gets you a pass for the weekend there.
Yep. Camping
and
is
it's going to be
for the weekend.
It's going to camping's $100. There's a bunch of other things there.
First come, first serve.
There's a Facebook page on the Mom Cup. You can look that up there and find out some things.
Cats.
And 3 happy cats
That's
as well.
Happy, you'll find
3 happy cats. You know what that spells? THC.
Yep.
3 happy cats. Truth, hope, change.
There
truth, health, courage.
I will be there. Neil will be there. I'm going to be doing the 420 announcements for the 3 days, and Neil's going to be doing some hosting, and he's going to sing right after I do that 420. If he can.
Do that with cannabis?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sure I can.
Yeah, I'm sure you can. We can always get a recording. I would just play the recording in case.
Or you could do it,
Oh, yeah, you got to send me the words. I got to crash learn the words. Yeah.
I think I'll be able to do it.
I'm sure you're. Sterling and I can do it or something.
So that's this weekend.
Yes, this weekend.
Next weekend.
Yes.
The Prairie Harvest Medicinal Cup. It's a cup that's been going on for a long time. This will be the 10th year that they're doing it.
Yep.
And it is such a good time in Saskatoon. If you've never been there, you really want to go. The cups are great all around. They all are. They're great networking opportunities. Saskatoon may be one of the best ones for that. There's just an atmosphere that happens there that started right from the beginning. The people in Saskatoon are extremely friendly. It's a very friendly province. So I don't know if it was an uptake of that attitude that was around us at those cups, but it just became such a great place for people to make friends and to have a great time that it became known organically as the Friendly Cup.
Yep.
And it's lived up to that reputation every single time, and I'm sure this time will be no different at all. In fact, this time might even be better than the others.
It's
because
camping too, right?
They have camping there as well.
Yes. And
Mike Rita, who we talked about going to the Mum Cup and doing comedy there, he's the host of the show for the weekend. For the Prairie Cup. Now, that's a hell of a coup.
He's going to get a warm-up at Mom Cup and then just go to the Prairie Cup. That's good, yeah.
And so that will be a blast for anybody who's there. Mike Rita, if you don't know him,
he was there last time.
He's a top-notch comedian from Canada that's becoming famous around the world. And he's a hoot, to say the least. Yeah. And I'm sure that it'll be a great fun time. Yeah, you can see him as a lead up to the Prairie Cup. You can come to the Mom Cup, get a little taste of what Mike's all about.
7:45.
And then the next weekend go to the Prairie Cup. Now the Prairie Cup's got discounts going on their tickets and stuff.
Good.
What did he say they were? It's now $200 for a judge's kit.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the judge's kit at the Prairie Cup is going to be full of all kinds of good stuff. Yeah. That's one of the things that they've done there forever is had a lot of stuff in their judge's kits for sure. And for a weekend pass, it's $60 to go there. Good. So he's brought the prices down. There's going to be glass blowing there as well. There's going to be lots of entertainment as well. Always a great time at the Prairie Cup.
I've always had
fun.
Check
that out. The last week there was still some sponsorships available. I don't know if that's the case still or not. You can check that out. It's a great one to sponsor for sure. And like I say, lots of networking goes on there. Lots of great connections have been made at that cup, and a great time is always had by everybody that attends. So the Prairie Harvest Cup coming up the following weekend from this one that's coming up. And then the next weekend after that, we've got the Karma Cup.
Yep.
Once
now,
again,
is that online, or is that actually going to be in a parking lot somewhere again, or something? Do we know?
I don't know. Sarah's not reached out to me and told me. I know you can find out about that online as well.
Yeah, that Instagram.
There's a bunch of stuff going on. I've followed a little bit of the comments that have been happening there. There's a fair number of people that are pretty excited about
Green Irene, I can reach out to her. She's going to be going there, so
probably by next week's show, we can give you an update a little better on the Karma Cup, which is now, I guess, 3 weeks away.
Yep.
So 1 week we got the Mum Cup, 2 weeks we got the Prairie Cup, 3 weeks we got the Karma Cup.
We're going from west to east.
West to east.
Yeah, Vancouver, Saskatoon, and Ontario.
Once again, I can't give you details about the Karma Cup because I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if Mike Rita is going to be involved in that as well. He's from Toronto. That's kind of where that happens.
Yeah.
He's on his way on that sort of a tour. So maybe.
You never know. We
you
can't
never
say.
know.
We could find out on the weekend.
I would say that probably that there will be a good time had by anybody that goes to that. There always is. The
I had fun
Cup
at
is
Karma
good.
Cup when I went. I went to the third one. Haven't been to another one yet, but the last couple of years they've been online, so I don't know if there's an actual...
I know that, I've partaken in the Karma Cup with respect to the judges' kits.
Yeah.
Because on Jeremiah's show, he would always get a judge's kit, and they would lay it all out on the table, and we would get to try some of that stuff. But
have you tried the Mom Cup stuff? I have been.
No.
Okay.
I'm gonna be doing that
this weekend.
This weekend,
right.
Maybe a little bit before I go there, but yeah, judge's kit from the Mom's Cup has a lot of good stuff in it as well. There's a vape pen, there's hash, there's concentrates, there's weed. That's the deal with these cups. It's all about just having weed.
Yeah, it's having fun. And
having
then
having weed.
There'll be people that are selling stuff there, and probably some free dabs, try it out. So I believe there'll be some food. Is there food going to be there?
Oh, I would imagine, but I don't know 100%.
Always got a call.
That's always my son Dan. Should I put him on the air? I'm not gonna.
Hi, you're interrupting the show live.
Yes. Dan, if you're calling me and I don't answer, it's probably because it's on a Tuesday. Seems to be the most time that you call me.
Yes, our cup is full.
He's just, or maybe he's watching the show and he had something to say.
Maybe.
You never know.
Well, he could leave a comment.
He could then leave a comment.
Right?
So.
We would might see. I don't.
So in other words, you're telling me my son's not watching my show. Is that what you're saying?
He's not. That's why he's calling, because if he was watching, he would know not to call.
And he would know I'm talking about him right now, and he never likes that very much.
That's only because he called.
Yeah, I know. That's right. That's right. You call me in the middle of my show. What do you expect?
All right.
So there's another thing that was. Joint. You go right ahead.
I will.
I'm not going to be too much longer here. There's another thing that's coming up. Originally, it was supposed to be by now. Then it got changed to tomorrow. Now it's been changed again. And what we're talking about is the Warneke, Seaman, and Martin case that's been before the Supreme Court for a long time in a constitutional challenge, because all three of those people were arrested. They owned dispensaries in Saskatchewan, and they've all been charged, and they've all become co-plaintiffs in a constitutional challenge about the lack of access for medical patients, the lack of low barrier access for everybody. Some of the very same things that we're fighting for here. So that case has been heard, although I'm told today that there's new evidence being submitted by the plaintiffs.
Yep.
We'll see if that results in another delay. The first delay resulted because they decided to change the judge. That's ludicrous. The previous judge had heard all the testimony in real time, and now they're going to bring in some other judge who maybe gets to listen to recordings. No. This is not what was supposed to happen, and if there was a bad decision, I think that would have been grounds for appeal. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer.
Neither am I.
But it just seems so wrong that this person that has been involved since the beginning of the case, had heard all of the legal arguments from both sides, would then be replaced before making the decision on that. So now they decided to go back to the original judge, and the decision won't be tomorrow.
Maybe they got through it.
It'll be on the 29th of this month coming up, so
Monday.
Another 10 days from now or whatever.
No, Monday.
Monday's not the 29th,
It's
is it?
so. We are on the 23rd right now.
Oh.
6 days will be Monday.
So a week from Monday. So just before next week's show,
we
might get a decision.
Oh,
there may also be another delay based on new evidence that's being put in there. I don't know. We'll see. But that's an extremely important case. We are certainly waiting here at the Cannabis Substitution Program for the outcome of that. It's similarly important to us that of the case that happened in Queen's Bench of Alberta. What's the name of that one? Oh my God.
Oh, I don't know.
But the great decision on that one about the lack of proper access by the government. And so we'll see what happens with this one. And I think this one affects us as well.
It'll affect a lot of people.
Yeah, and we're all just waiting to see. And it's certainly going to affect those three gentlemen.
And if it gets delayed, it'll be delayed till 2023 for sure. being that it's August already, I'm almost
Hard
September,
to say.
right? That's 3 months until, oh no, what's September? So,
I mean, it's not like it's important for them
yeah.
to do this right away.
No, of course not.
It's not like
people
there's
are
people's
dying
lives
every
in the
day.
balance, and there's people that are lacking access, and there's people dying as a result. It's not, oh yeah, it is like that.
It is.
It is like that.
It's very much. That's why you're here.
I had a little earthquake there for a second. More earthquake.
You're kicking me out, are you?
I guess I could. I'm going to have a little shorter show today because I'm not feeling all that great.
And I will see you on the weekend.
We'll see you at the Mom Cup.
I'm picking up Sterling tomorrow, 11 o'clock at night at the airport. So
I'll see you.
Yeah.
And I guess we start out, the two of us, on stage to open the cup with Cannabis.
2 o'clock, I think you're there.
2 o'clock on Saturday.
2:15 you do, I think it's all Cannabis.
Right.
So
and then I get the job of hosting between 6 and 10 on Saturday. I think that'll be the best time of all, of course.
There you
so,
go.
You know, I'm not Mike Rita, but I'll try to provide some entertainment. I am a joke.
No,
they just have to look at me and they laugh. Oh, look at that old fart up there.
Why the guy with a bag of weed cross the road, sort of thing? So you can get to the bigger bag.
I'll see if I can come up with some appropriate jokes ahead of time. I'll tap Mike Rita and see if he's got anything he wants to give me that he won't be using himself.
That's plagiarism.
Well, not if he gives it to me.
I know.
Not if he, or sells it to me. I don't know how much I'm willing to pay for a good joke, but jokes are sold. Comedians write jokes. They sell them to other people that use those jokes, or maybe they can give them. If you can sell something, you can probably give it away. Mike's a good friend of mine, so he might just give me one or two, or maybe I can come up with my own. Like, how ridiculous is this cannabis thing here? The illegalization of cannabis resulted in those hard-nosed bikers becoming gardeners and medicine delivery men. And there's a joke for you. How silly is that?
Yeah.
That the majority of the heavy lifting done during the Prohibition period was done by bikers.
Yep.
Growing plants for medicinal purposes to help people feel good. To me, growing up, that's not what the bikers were about.
No.
So it's been really crazy that they've done that. There's a few other really ridiculous things going on here. Like how about the comparison between cigarettes and cannabis?
Is there?
So one of them's legal.
Oh.
Advertised, available in
Well,
yes and no. Okay. I'm talking about before legalization.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, one's legal, one's not.
Okay, so now they're both legal.
Yeah.
But the differences between the two, the fact that one, they used the criminal law to try to prevent people from harming themselves with this dangerous plant.
Oh.
No, I'm not talking about commercial tobacco here. I'm talking about the cannabis plant.
Yeah.
That's the one they used the criminal law against to try to keep people from getting access to because it was so dangerous. Commercial tobacco, nobody died, by the way, of cannabis ever.
Oh.
Commercial tobacco,
millions
every 12 months. Millions of humans die
billions
every 12 months from commercial tobacco globally. The statistics are insane. The hospitalizations to do with things associated to smoking in Canada is the number one reason for hospitalizations in Canada. People are dying smoking commercial tobacco, and it's available in grocery stores, in drug stores, in gas stations, in machines. It doesn't matter where these places are. They can be right next door to a school. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
No restrictions on whether or not you can buy cigarettes with your children with you.
No.
No redeeming value even in smoking cigarettes for the most part. Some people use it because it helps them calm down, they say. It doesn't stress them out so much until they get cancer, and then they're really stressed out because they were smoking. But cannabis is a medicine that calms people down, that puts them in a good mood, that takes away their anger, that helps them sleep.
Instead of poisoning you with
it's
tobacco.
Health and wellness.
Right.
And yet that's the one that for 100 years here, so it'll be 100 years next January, and for the last 3 years, people with just simple possession are still legally allowed to have that, and in most cases, there's no repercussions, except that our society is still full of stigmatization for cannabis consumers. You can still lose your job, you can still lose your kids, you can still be penalized societally just by being a cannabis consumer. It's fine if you smoke cigarettes. There's no stigma on that. Society doesn't demonize people that smoke cigarettes, even though it's a huge cost to us and our medical system, and it takes away so many people's lives and livelihoods. Yet there's no stigmatization, very little stigmatization for people smoking cigarettes.
Then the pharmaceutical companies can make stuff to make you feel better because you're being poisoned by these cigarettes, right? It's a vicious circle.
But smoke some cannabis in small towns still, and it's a big story.
Yeah.
And it's bad. And you're one of those, and you're a druggie. And
a druggie. I don't know what a word.
Oh man.
Fucking hell, eh?
You know, cannabis is the smart choice for people. You don't have to smoke it if smoking is a problem. I had some guy pull up behind the RV yesterday and just shaking his head. He looked at our sign about cannabis as a safe supply and a substitute for opioids, and he's just shaking his head. I said, what is it that you don't get about what we're doing here, sir? And he says, well, smoking cannabis still causes lung cancer and it's still a problem. I said, well, not really, sir, not compared to cigarettes. And what we're actually talking about here for the most part is edibles.
Yeah.
But, there's still a lot of stigmatization about people using cannabis.
Smoking, right? But the government is not putting all the chemicals on our cannabis that they put in, they allow for tobacco.
Not yet.
Like cyanide.
But they still allow for a lot of other chemicals in the legal...
the growing of it, yes.
I mean, that's what was so ludicrous about this person from one of the legal stores talking about how she was concerned about people that were now going to have to access their cannabis through the black market.
Yeah.
And that the legal stores are the safe supply. And I mentioned off the top when I first talked about that, about how there was never a thing where cannabis was hurting people and the government had to make an announcement about watch out for this cannabis or that cannabis or anything like that. We never had problems with people using cannabis before legalization. Since legalization, the legal stores have had lots of problems with poisoning people with the cannabis that they're producing.
Yep.
And if you look at the long list of chemicals that are allowed to be used on the legal cannabis plants, I mean, you'd be right to be suspicious about whether or not this is something you want to be consuming or not, igniting and consuming. So the illegal cannabis for 100 years in Canada was never a problem of cannabis hurting people or cannabis being harmed by cannabis. That was never the justification for the prohibitions. The fear of it was touted to be the case. You know, oh, we need to protect people from cannabis. It can cause you to go violent and insane.
Yeah,
I mean, when I was a young teenager, my parents and society told me that marijuana stuff was the devil. That was going to ruin your life, that would kill your memory, kill your ability to think straight. You'd be a dumb, retarded derelict for the rest of your life.
40 years. I should be
50 years here. Yeah, we should just be drooling. Hey man, really good, eh? No, we're not. We're not like that at all.
Our brain's on a fried egg.
We're able to easily articulate our positions on things. I'm now 65 years old. My grandpa died at 65. I'm sure my grandmother and my mother all thought that because Neil was going down that path of using marijuana that he would never make it to 65. And if he did, like I say, we'd be drooling, mumbling, stuttering, not employable, not properly able to live our lives. And nothing could be farther from the truth. I'm a much better adjusted human being than most of those people I know that use alcohol regularly, that would never touch cannabis but are happy to use whatever pharmaceutical they're prescribed. For the Christians that abstain, in worse health than me and all my cannabis smoking friends. It was all just lies.
If you're a Christian and you're sick, you've got a reason to pray then. Right? You can't use cannabis so you're going to pray, right?
If you're a Christian and you think God doesn't like cannabis, then you need to rethink a few things, because
he created
it wasn't the devil that made any plants, despite what my 102-year-old grandmother said the year before she passed away, that, oh no, God didn't make the marijuana plant. Oh no.
The devil did it.
The devil did it. It's the devil's weed. No. You look, go to your resource, go to the Bible, have a look on the very first page. You will see that God takes credit for creating all of the seed-bearing herbs.
Yep.
He
That's what it says.
announces that they are all very good, that they are for everyone. So, you know?
Yeah.
People use things for things, right? Like, we make tea out of things.
Yep. Mushrooms.
People use tea. Well, I wasn't thinking mushrooms. I was thinking actual tea leaves. People use that because it helps them. They drink coffee because it helps wake them up.
Mm-hmm.
They use all kinds of different plant materials
Yep.
to help them feel different ways.
Yep.
We have lots of things that historically have been used by the medical professionals of the day for hundreds and thousands of years that are plants. In fact, they were only ever plants. Up until this modern era of pharmaceuticals that started in about the 30s, 40s, and then bloomed from there, drugs were plants. There was drugstores in the world, but they were botanical drugstores. Still today, you can go for a walk in the streets around us here in Chinatown, and you'll see store after store that has hundreds, if not thousands, of different plants in jars and in bins available for people, each of them with some health benefit that helps you.
Mm-hmm.
We were created here by God, according to the Christian religion, in a garden filled with all of these plants for us to use. That's what they're for. And this one is more useful than just about any of the other ones. When God created this plant, that was a good one. That was one that had a relationship like that with us. Of course, I don't believe that God created Adam and Eve in a garden as full-grown, mature human beings and gave them all the plants and animals to use for themselves. I don't believe that. But I'm talking to the people that do. The Christians out there who think that for some reason this plant deserves to be demonized and prohibited when it's one of God's creations, one of his best, that's been used for thousands of years for hundreds of different purposes, so many of them medical, that for you to think that it's okay to prohibit and demonize and lie about one of God's plants, well, that's what I say. You might want to give another couple of minutes of thought to whether or not you think Jesus would be involved in prohibiting cannabis. Whether God thinks it's a good idea or not for his human creations to be deciding that one of his plant creations needs to be demonized and prohibited. Makes no sense. And the only reason it's gone on like it has is because it makes money. It makes money for people, and it gives them reason to feel self-righteous over other people. They can sip their brandy and their coffee and take their pharmaceutical pills and look down their noses at those people that would go and harvest a plant and dry the buds out and imbibe in some to feel better. So anyway, there's my rant on that.
Keep them healthy.
All right,
I'm out of here.
All right, you can go now.
Yeah, I can go now. We'll see you.
I so appreciate you,
on
Len.
Friday, and I appreciate you too.
You've become far more than just my 420 session guest.
Thank you, buddy.
You're at least a part-time co-host of the show. Without you, I'd be rambling on by myself, and nobody wants that. So
no, I thank you too, my friend. I really do. Like I said, you're going to be singing your old cannabis song right after I do my 420 announcement, and I appreciate that too. So you could have said no.
Should be good.
You could have said no, but
why would I do that?
Know who we are, so
why would I do
let's
that?
stick together, right?
I'm a yes man, actually.
Are you?
Yep. Okay. I decided quite a while ago that if at all possible, I'm going to say yes to whatever's asked of me. Now, I don't say yes to everything. I have my boundaries, and I'm good at standing up for myself.
Asking for next week's lottery winners out of the
nope.
Out of there.
You can ask me whatever question you want.
Yes.
And the most answer you're going to get is, I don't know.
Okay.
The second most answer you're going to get is, well, it depends. And thirdly, you might actually get some answer that makes sense, although probably the third answer you're going to get from me is, well, you could Google it.
You can Google it.
I don't know most things. I've had 65 years of experience and learning. and I don't know most things.
You got me beat by 8 years, so.
8 years from now, you'll know what I know.
Exactly.
Which won't be much more than you know already.
Isabel will be 18.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
I know, eh? 18 and
That's impossible to believe, isn't it?
God,
my son is 40 years old. He was only 16 last year. How did that happen?
All right, we'll see you later.
We'll see you later, Glenn. Thank you so much. Enjoy your time. Have as much fun as you can, as always. And yeah, we'll see you Saturday.
Friday.
No, I'm not going there Friday.
Oh, you're not going to Friday?
Oh, am I supposed? Yeah, I'm going there Friday. Yes, I am. I'm going there Friday. I just lost my brain there for a minute. It was Thursday that I was originally going to go there, and I decided I didn't need to be there Thursday. No. But yeah, Friday I need to be there by 2 o'clock, 2:15. Yeah. I'll be there by noon.
And I'll have Mr. Sterling there by 1 or something.
All right, we're going to have a blast this weekend. I hope all you people join us there. Not all of you, because that'd be too many. We do like a lot.
All weekend, yeah.
Oh yeah, because that's what I love, is staying up late.
Till midnight. I know,
oh man.
And then drive home. All right, see you later.
Being old sucks. You know, I went to the BC Lions game 2 weeks ago this Saturday, and there I was, the old man with his fingers in his ear, thinking to myself, I should phone the BC Lions and tell them that the stadium is too loud during the games. Maybe it is. I don't know. I can't be sure because I'm old now, I guess. And most of the young people that were there did not have their fingers in their ears. Although I was looking around, and they also were not able to talk to each other because the music in there is so loud, and it blasts from as soon as the play ends until the next one begins. And even when they're telling you to get loud, they really don't allow for anybody to be heard being loud, because they're pumping in so much stuff over the PA system that you can't even hear all the people that are trying to get loud. It's really crazy. But there I am, sounding like an old man again, and I guess I should stop doing that, eh? I actually saw Three Dog Night in a recorded concert that happened this year. They're in their 80s now. A great band from the past with over 40 #1 hits. But oh man, did they ever look like old men on the stage there, you know. Old men, they got a stance about them, you know. Their legs are a little bull-legged and they're really skinny, and their hair isn't quite okay anymore, and it's very gray, and their face is all gout, and they look and sound like a bunch of old men, because that's what nature does to us if we live long enough, as we get old. I hope I get old. I do want to continue to see what's going on here. In any case, down to the the last section of the show, which is always about the Cannabis Substitution Program. We've talked a little bit about that already on the show. I won't go into too much detail, but for anybody who doesn't know, Cannabis Substitution Program has been helping people get easy access to cannabis, especially in the form of high-dose edibles, for 5.5 years now, with great success, with a proven track record, a half a decade of demonstrating the effectiveness and the safety of what we're doing here. And yet we can't get no respect. I feel like Rodney Dangerfield, we just can't get no respect. And I know that's a double negative, but that's Rodney for you. But we deserve a lot of respect. By this time in our program, with the amount of success that we've had, we should be really lauded across Canada and around the world as having come up with one of the best solutions for the opioid crisis. But instead, we can't get traction from any of the heads of the hydra that we're dealing with, be it the government, be it the police, be it the media. The media should be running with this story every day. This is a huge story. The federal government is actively blocking access to citizens that would otherwise use cannabis to better their lives, escape addiction. And the federal government is actively blocking their access while allowing, encouraging, and profiting off of the access to cannabis for just those people that just want to get high. Oh my God. It is so upside down, backwards, and crazy that you would think the media would be all over it. But we're living in very corrupt times. The media machine is attached symbiotically to the corporate machine, which has co-opted and annexed our governing machine. And all of these are now cooperating and in cahoots with each other to manipulate and monopolize us and what we purchase and what we produce. This is the corrupt system that has developed from what was supposed to be freedom a democratic system of duly elected public servants. But the problem is that the system designed allowed for the corporate agenda to take it over, co-opt it for its own purposes, and continue to exploit us and monopolize that which we want, that which we need. So we'll just keep on keeping on, right? Like, there's no other option for us. We can't stop what we're doing. We wouldn't stop for ethical reasons just with respect to the pursuit of low barrier access stores for people that need it. But we really ethically cannot stop because we are intrinsically aware of the harm that would result if we were to just do what the government wants, and that is to close up shop. Do nothing with respect to the opioid crisis in cannabis, and wait for the government to decide that they finally maybe made enough money off their monopoly of cannabis that they will allow for some of the poor people and the sick people and the people needing it to escape addiction to have access to it. Because every day that they don't allow for low barrier access stores is another day that they raked in obscene profits on the cannabis that they're selling. Another day that they're getting away with it. Another day that they're always going to get away with. Because all these days that have come and gone where they have not allowed for anybody to sell for less than what they're selling is another day that they made huge profits on what they're selling, even though they don't sell anywhere near as much as they would if the prices were lower and the quality of the cannabis was better and if the government wasn't corrupt. Then it would be a viable industry. Then it might be one that I could support. But nope. They're just getting away with murder, and they're raking in huge amounts of money of ours, running a government monopoly on the access to cannabis and fleecing the Canadian people of so much more money than is justified in the process. And I doubt they will ever be taken to task for it. They should all be arrested. They should all be terminated from their positions. That includes Justin Trudeau. It includes the health minister. It includes the justice minister. It includes police chiefs. It includes a whole bunch of our public servants that are criminally corrupt in denying the value of cannabis, even though we have demonstrated very clearly, and scientific studies out the yin-yang now about the effectiveness of cannabis to help people through withdrawal and all the other health issues that it helps people with. That evidence is clear. Yet here they are, denying it, denying licenses to help facilitate the access that would save people's lives. And we have no choice but to continue. So even though once we'd opened up the store in good faith based on our meetings with the city, and even though we got kicked out of the store and pushed into an RV on the curb, we won't stop. We can't stop. We're never going to stop. They may drive us underground. They may put us in jail. They may try to fine us out of existence like they are with Ted Smith and his store. They might try to do all of that stuff. We're going to find out. But in the meantime, we have no choice. We will continue to do what we are doing until we can't. Or forever. One of those two. Forever is a pretty long time. Within a few billion years, the sun's going to heat up to the point where probably no life exists on the planet anymore. So within a few billion years, the Cannabis Substitution Program may have to be ceased because there's no more humans alive to partake in it. But in the meantime, cannabis, high-dose edibles, as an easy option, needs to happen, needs to continue, needs to be supported, and will not stop until it's no longer needed, one way or another. We're going to go visit with the people outside for a few minutes and just give you a glimpse of what we're talking about here. That here on the downtown east side of Vancouver, there's an RV. It's been parked in the same parking spot for 21 months, a little more, and providing access to cannabis under the threat of arrest and seizure and all the rest of it that they've already demonstrated is a reality. But there we are. So just because I like to make this a bit of a reality show, and you know, and it's an ongoing, continuing saga of our pursuit of low barrier access community cannabis stores, we'll update you as we always do with a little glimpse into what's going on with the Healing Wave Cannabis Substitution Program RV. So as always, we at this point in the show have the weather report from downtown east side of Vancouver. It's now turned into an overcast day. It's still fairly warm. It was quite warm a little while ago, but it has cooled down some. It's muggy. But well worth coming to see if you're thinking of coming to Vancouver. The weather here is usually pretty good. We got a few more months of fairly decent weather before the cold kicks in. And even that, if you're from, you know, other parts of Canada east of here or north of here, and pretty much everything in Canada is either east of here or north of here, then our winters are less severe as well. So you could consider coming here at this time. And so here's the RV. It's become our home for a long time here, our home away from home. In fact, it's probably more like our home period. We sleep elsewhere, but most of the time we're here. It's become quite the icon on the downtown east side. People talk about it all around the city now. We get people coming here and saying that they heard somebody saying this is where they should come and this is what's going on. So we're pretty well known about here, and then that's really important that people understand that this is here as an option for them. And those that are part of the program, they can come here and access at the back door. Before I go there, I need to mention that we are not alone in this, that our program for 5.5 years has been adopted by other places. Because of what we were doing here, one of the board members at Vandu took the idea to Victoria. They're still running their substitution program over there with great success, with the city and the police on board with them. A good friend of mine and that I got to know on the Freedom Tour, a great activist from back east, started the East Coast Cannabis Substitution Program. Chris Backer, with his group of volunteers and his long list of donators, has been helping people get access there once a week and helping hundreds of people every time he goes there with high-dose edibles. And so far, no interference from anybody, so that's all great. William Hicks took over from Mary McCarty. Mary was such a wonderful baker for us here in Vancouver. We hated to lose her, but family issues meant that she had to leave. And she didn't go by herself. She took the program with her, and she started it up in London, Ontario. Then she had to go to Winnipeg for family reasons, and the program continues thanks to William Hicks and the other volunteers that helps him and the donators that help him as well. So we have other programs going on. There's other ones that are happening that we're not even aware of. I do get told once in a while that there's other places that have done their best to provide high-dose edibles to people. So it is a thing. It's more than just here in Vancouver. It needs to be everywhere. It needs to be an easy option for people everywhere, in every community where this overdose epidemic is a scourge. And that's pretty much every community in Canada. You need to have low barrier access to cannabis. It needs to be a thing. There's poor people everywhere. There's sick people everywhere. That is what the main impetus of our push for legalization was all about, is protecting the people that need it the most and that are going to die or suffer without it. And so that they need to have access everywhere, and that's what we're fighting for. But here in Vancouver, we don't do it once or twice a week anymore like we did for 3.5 years. We've moved into this RV. First we moved into that store, and you know, we provide it every day of the week, and we provide it to hundreds of people. We have the 268 that I've mentioned several times that are registered as members that get 420 milligrams every 4 days here. But we don't turn people away either if they're not members. If they have needs, we help them. For people that don't have money, it's free. We have muffins and cookies infused that go to those people. We give out dozens and dozens of those every day to people, along with free joints, lots and lots of free joints to people, because like I say, we're not going to turn anybody away just because the program is full. We're going to try as best we can to make sure that everybody gets looked after. We get a fair bit of donations here at the CSP in the form of cash every day that comes into our donation box here, and that money is used to pay for the production of the the muffins and the cookies and the gummies and numerous other things that we have here. So it is a self-sustaining program that's happening. It's not all just the donating by the people that are providing those edibles, but in many cases, to make sure we've got enough for everybody, we use the money that comes in, every penny of it. Nobody gets a penny of anything that's donated. Nobody gets a tip here. Nobody's allowed to take a tip. They've all got such a great job that all the tip money goes into the donation box here, and that's how we sustain the program. So let's go have a look at the back door and see what's going on there. Oh, I see the back door is occupied at this time, because it usually is. It's a very popular back door. What else can I tell you about it? Well, donating is the key. That the donations that have come in are why this continues the way that it does. I was told early on in putting this program together that it was unsustainable. That there's no way we could just be giving out free stuff and allow that to escalate and evolve and sustain that. Well, so far we have, and that's only because of the donators. The people that give us the baked goods, that spend their time producing those baked goods. I mentioned that we put money out for muffins and cookies and gummies, but the money that we put out does not cover any of the labor costs of any of that. It doesn't cover all of the costs of producing those. All of that is donated by these amazing angels that appreciate what we're doing here and want to use us as a vehicle for doing that. And so for us, but much more importantly for those other chapters of the CSP, donations are so crucial. If you're a baker, if you have some time, if you have some resources and are able to help, then please do, because that's what sustains these programs. I think it's safe to go up here now and see what happens. That's a secret knock, by the way, but it still won't get you access to the program. You need to know two things. You need to know the secret knock, not really, and you need to know your membership number, because that's the number one question. How you doing, Andrew?
I'm doing
pretty good. Right. So when somebody comes and knocks on the door, you want to know their member number.
Yeah, I turn around and say, how you doing?
And what's your number?
And what's your number?
So once you have the number, you look it up in the book to make sure that they haven't been here in less than the 4 days.
Yeah, I just did with the person that just left here. He thought he was 134, so I looked his number up. He's 135.
I see.
Yes.
Well, good for you for still correcting him and letting him have his stuff.
Yeah. He said 135, and then he said 134. Right. So you have to help
Sometimes
out.
People forget things, and then we're not going to turn them away.
No, I'm not going to turn them away.
But we try to keep it fair. We will turn them away if they're here in less than 4 days. If they're here 2 days after they got their stuff, because they've lost track of time, they don't get the 420 that they can choose from. But they can go to the side window and get that 100 milligram muffin or the cookie or the joint and the joint.
The number that you have is there to let you have your edibles every 4 days, but it's also to keep other people from using the same number.
Yeah. That's right.
I had some people who do, but some people don't.
Yeah, we've had some people try to cheat their way in. Of course, that's what happens. But to protect the other people in the program, to protect the program itself and its ability to continue to meet the needs of people, we try to figure out who's cheating and who's not, and we try to deal with those issues, But people are desperate here, and we understand that, and so we try to do whatever we do with compassion. We don't, we don't treat them badly because they're trying to cheat here. We call them on what they're doing, but we don't treat them badly. We understand that they're desperate and that they're trying to do whatever they can for themselves. And as much as they don't get their 420 for that day, they don't get it until it's their time to get it. They can go and get a 100 milligram muffin, a 50 milligram cookie, and a joint.
I have been session for some people because we have extra, right?
Yeah.
And it looks like that person will need some today.
Yeah.
But the rule I make is if you come on a Tuesday today, you want it early today, then you have to come back next week.
Right.
And I mean,
So if they do talk you into getting it early, they then have to wait that extra day anyway, and you know, they're not actually going to get more than every 4 days, but they might get it early once and then have to wait a little bit longer.
You might need it that day. You might be having a terrible day, or you might be in pain, right? You got to help them all out, right?
Yeah, we're not just going to turn people away and have them have a miserable day or be upset or be angry or sad. We're here to help people. That's what we're here to do, and that's what we try to do for everybody that comes here. That is our main mandate. It always has been. What are the needs of the people that we're helping, and how can we best meet those needs? Those are our focuses. That's what we're doing here, and this is the government's work. We're doing here what the government should be doing, and if the government can't do it, they should at least come and assess what we're doing, recognize that it's of great value to the neighborhood and the people within the neighborhood, and help us do it. But here we are. So what do you want to show us, Andy? You got some of those muffins there?
I got some of these today. Joe Pepper just brought some of these muffins.
Ah, those
today.
are Joe
They're
Pepper's
beautiful.
muffins.
Fresh today.
Not to be confused with John Murray's muffins.
No, these are 100 milligrams each.
Right.
These are beautiful. Today
People
we
love
didn't
them.
put things in. It's a little cooler today, but I got stuff on.
You got stuff on ice still, eh?
Because it's getting cold. Like tomorrow's gonna be 31 degrees.
Yeah, I know.
This has got to be on a. I put a water bottle in there. These are 100 milligram gummies.
That's from Green Wilderness.
Yes, it is, and very nice. We do a great job. Right here.
Green Wilderness
That's
has been
20
supplying
inside.
us for most of the 5.5 years that we've been here.
20
Joe
inside,
Pepper has
5
been
inside.
providing her brownies for all of the 5.5 years that we've been doing this. She was one of the first donators on board, and she's continued consistently ever since there. So we really, really value her. There's a bunch of others. I don't do a great job of talking about our donators, and I really probably should, because they are so valuable. But you know, most of them are not in it for the promotion. They're in it to help out. That they want to help us do what we're doing. And I've never had any flack from any donator that we didn't talk about them enough or give them what they need for a promotion of what they're doing. We do try to do some of that. Guerrilla Ganja is another one. Incredible donators for us. It's been going on for so long.
Yeah, this one is sativa. It's 40 sativa and 40 it's CBD and 40 THC.
And the THC is sativa in that
Yeah,
case.
the THC is sativa, and this one is indica 40, and this is CBD 40. And this one here is our pure CBD.
Well, the THC is indica in this one.
Yes. We don't have any raspberry right now because that's our most popular, and that's our full indica.
We have to make
that's
another
the full
order.
indica.
So we'll put another order in pretty quick here.
These have become popular lately.
These are caps from Dirty Dave.
50 milligram caps from Dirty Dave. They changed colors because I got them on ice to keep them cool because of the weather.
Another
right?
amazing donator who's
So
been
that's what
with
it
us
looks
from
like when
early
it's
on.
not. That looks like it when it's sitting inside the shop. That's what it looks like when it's on ice. So it's still the same. Right?
Yeah.
Some people think it's changed. It hasn't changed the formula.
Just the temperature changes the way it looks, that's all. But the effectiveness is still the same for all of it, for sure. And big thanks to Dirty Dave.
We've had this company donate.
Yeah, CannaHelp has been a great donator recently to us.
And this guy just came and delivered some
And this is a fella in the neighborhood who actually gives these out himself.
These Rice Krispies are very, very popular.
Right.
People love the Rice Krispies, right? And that's great, you know. And he also delivers some of this stuff too. He gives us
Yeah,
some
that's
of
the
these.
same guy.
Yeah, it's the same guy.
Just somebody that was in the neighborhood, understanding how high-dose edibles helps people, was giving them out on his own, found out about us, and decided that he would let us be also someone that could distribute his stuff for him. So
He brings this
been
one
very
too,
powerful.
those three, right? And he just brought some today. He opens his knapsack, gives us a whole handful, and it's great. People love them, right? And he
And it
does
all
other,
really helps
other
us
places
too.
Yeah.
it really helps. Every little bit helps. When people take their 420, that's actually quite a bit. And when you get like 10, 20, 30 people doing that in a day, that's a lot of stuff. So everything that we can get that helps to subsidize that to protect our other stocks of things, very, very important to us.
And this one is very important too. People
The
always
joints.
ask for a joint. They love the joint. Right? They always say, did I put a joint in my bag? Did I get a joint? Thank you. Yes, you did.
There's
Thank you
something comforting and soothing about smoking
is.
the joint. And what happens with the joint, you titrate your dose, which means that it happens really quickly. Within a puff or two, it started to have effect. Whereas the edibles, that takes quite a long time to kick in. So what the joints do is they give people a little bit of a bridge from the time that they take the edibles until the edibles kicks in. And it became very popular. I thought we'd just be giving edibles away with the program, but it was really quickly into it that we learned that the people really appreciate the joints as well, so we give them the joints.
This is John Murray.
Yeah.
Giving away, I give away John Murray's cookies. These are 30 milligram cookies, right? Very nice. He donates a lot of cookies, a lot of time. Great person. Yeah. Dedicated. A really dedicated person. Drives down here from Delta, makes all of it, and comes down here and we distribute it, right? It's great.
Well, good job, Andrew.
Okay, thank you very much.
We'll see you on the other side in just a minute here.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
That's quite the hat.
Thank you.
Yeah. Wow.
Is this an exclusive on Bravo? Are you guys on Bravo now?
This is Pot TV.
Pot TV?
Pot TV, yeah.
It's going to be on, oh God.
Pot.tv on the net. It's one of the oldest running live stream podcasts that's ever happened. It's like one of the original ones from 20 some years ago.
I thought you guys might get in coherence with the RuPaul show. What's that? He's on a television. I don't know. It's
Not
funny
happening.
stuff.
Yeah, well, no.
Hey, if she wants to drag, she can come down.
Ah, if she wants a drag. Oh, man. We all know RuPaul likes a drag. And probably likes the cannabis, too. But no, we're not joining forces with RuPaul. We are our own entity, and we will remain as such. George is not here right now. I guess he went home for the day. So that happens when we're not as busy as we can be. Some days George does leave early, and he actually had to leave early the other day because the heat had really gotten to him. And that's something that I think Health Canada needs to be aware of, is that this program here requires dedicated volunteers that are putting themselves at risk to make it work. Not just by being in an RV that could be raided by the police or robbed by gangs, but the elements play a huge role here. As it gets hot or as it gets cold, it becomes a health risk for people to be doing what we're doing here. And the other thing is that Joe Pepper likes to point out that in the Allard case, they talked about illegal dispensaries and some of the dynamics of that, and how the people that are working in those dispensaries are under a great deal of stress from the threat of arrest or robbery, from the frustration with having to be illegal in a world where, you know, alcohol sales are legal and commercial tobacco sales are legal, and yet people working in these illegal dispensaries have to deal with all of these other stresses that happens, and there's a lot of it, and it's not healthy for people. So Health Canada needs to recognize this, that there is such a need for what we're doing here, that we're going to do it with or without government support, because this is the right thing for this neighborhood and other neighborhoods as well. But we are concerned citizens. We are concerned citizens with information about how to combat this opioid crisis through the use of high-dose cannabis edibles. And as concerned citizens, armed with that knowledge, we have a responsibility to continue to provide that as best we can, with or without government support. So without government support, we are putting our health at risk, we are putting our livelihoods at risk, and there's no logical reason for it at all. And one of these days, I think they're going to be taken to task for it. I really hope that they are. And I would argue that organizations like Health Canada and those people that are put in those positions of influence and power there have a higher standard to be held to. That they are in positions where they not only should look after the health and the well-being of that which they're charged to do, but they have to. And that if they're not, and if there's damage that occurs, then they're liable. And they are going to be liable at some point, hopefully, for the damage that's occurring every moment that they don't support low barrier access community cannabis stores. And that down the road, an apology hopefully will not be enough. That just like a doctor has certain responsibilities with respect to breaching their positions of power, so too does the federal government, and so too does Health Canada. So at some point, we're probably going to be in court about all of this.
Well, we have somebody
We are
else that's
going
gonna
to
work
be
tomorrow.
properly articulating the role that Health Canada played in stifling our abilities to save people's lives.
George will be here.
And the responsibility of Health Canada, in that case, I think is going to be challenged, and they are going to be found to be more culpable than your average person who's not doing anything or standing in the way of things being done. That those people who have been provided more than adequate information to prove that what we are doing has caused zero harm to anyone and has done great good and saved numerous lives, that they'll be taken to task for that. I sure hope so. I mean, my lawyer tells me that I shouldn't talk about the corruption of Health Canada and the federal government because they're the ones we're relying on to give us permission here. But I can't not say something. I can't just be silent in the face of this criminality that's coming from our governments. That what I've said about that to my lawyer is when they stop being corrupt, I'll stop pointing out that they're corrupt. And that's how it has to be. I'm not going to be a silent contributor to their malice and their crimes. I'm going to be exposing them because that's the position that I'm in, and I feel I have an obligation to do that, not just for myself, but for all these people who are losing their lives and their livelihood as a result of this corrupt farce of legalization. So that's kind of the story. That's where we're at. That's pretty much all the information I have to disseminate for this week's show. A big thank you to Cannabis Culture and Pot TV for giving me the platform to be able to get this stuff off my chest and maybe make a difference down the road by doing so. To my producer Neil, who's been faithfully helping me do these shows for over 3 years now. We've now entered into our 4th year of the THC Show. And without Neil's dedication and guidance, we would not have the show that we've had all this time. So a big thanks to Neil. A big thanks to the people that have helped the Cannabis Substitution Program become what it is. From the early contributors way back in the day, 5.5 years ago, to all of those in between, and to all of you today that support what we're doing. We are still in need of help here. And I'm not just talking about donations to keep the program going. We need to convince Health Canada that this is an essential service that needs to be supported, encouraged, and funded. And so we need communication. Because me telling people these things
Not as busy as I was expecting.
doesn't have anywhere near as much power as somebody who's not in the position that I'm in when they say something in support of what we're doing. That is given more value and weight than by me for some reason. I don't really understand that because I'm the one that's been at the heart of this since the beginning, and I'm the one that really has all of this inside knowledge about the ins and outs of what we're doing and how it works. But from the government's point of view, they need third parties to be contributing their information for them to make their decision. So it's never been more important with Health Canada and with the federal prosecutors here in Vancouver that are looking after bringing us to court in an attempt to penalize us for our efforts to answer this healthcare emergency. Crazy as that is. But we need letters, we need phone calls, we need emails, we need people to be talking about this, we need people to reach out to those people in the positions of power and influence and add their voice to the weight of all of the rest until we achieve critical mass and get what we so desperately need here in our efforts to bring this solution to the table. So please do that. Please support us if you can. I know a lot of people don't find the time or procrastinate or don't think it's important for them to say something or don't feel that they have the right words to say. But none of that is true. We need the support and input from everybody, from all of you, in whatever form you can do that, in whatever words you can come up with. Your voice added to the mix could be that last critical voice that pushes us over the top and spurs those people in government to do the right thing. I really hope that you will do that, and I really hope that they will do that. So thanks again for watching, thanks for caring, thanks for spreading it all around, and thanks for doing whatever you're doing and to further our movement. I know there's a lot going on that I'm not aware of. Feel free to let me know if you've sent a letter or done some action to help not just us, but anything to do with the proper legalization that we deserve as Canadians here and that the rest of the world could then emulate and we would be proud of. So yeah, do that if you can. In the meantime, you know, don't take life too seriously. Problems are there to be solved. Everything has more than one side to it, so look for the positives in everything that you can. Be kind to the people around you. Love them no matter who they are or what they're doing, because they were all born innocent and became who they are because of all the things that happened to them. And everybody is who they are through the honest environment and surroundings as they grew up, and the genetic information that was passed on from previous generations. Everybody's doing the best they can with who they are and what they have, and we should cut everybody a lot of slack in that respect. Forgive them at least for their shortcomings, and just love them for being people that would be better if they could be better, or are great, because most of us are great in many respects as well. So be kind to everyone, be kind to yourself, look on the bright side of things, and always, most importantly, and this is what it's all about with what I'm saying here, have as much fun as you can. We'll see you next week and we'll try it all again.